I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. We are in two huge trials, but we're going to begin with what's happening in Kenosha, Wisconsin. This is the case involving Kyle Rittenhouse, and it's a case where there is a lot of video. There were people throughout the streets of Kenosha during those riots live streaming and recording things that were happening, including the shooting death of two men and the shooting of a third man and the aftermath and everything in the buildup. And the videos tell a very compelling story, but they don't tell the whole story. Because the videos, some of them are a little too far away. Some of them, the camera's a little bit shaky. You can't hear the audio. In this case, the case against Kyle Rittenhouse, there isn't just video. There are eyewitnesses. And in the first shooting, the shooting of Joseph Rosenbaum, it is so important because of the three shootings, this is the one where the video is the least clear. This is the one where you don't exactly see it. You've got the thermal imaging from the FBI cameras above, and you see these dots moving around. You've got some video from far away, and you see some figures running. You might see a flash, but you're not up close. But there was someone who was up close to the shooting of Joseph Rosenbaum. His name is Richie McGinnis, and he works for the Daily Caller, which is a website, a news website, and he was there covering the protests, covering the demonstrations, covering the riots, talking to people, following people. And that night, at that point, he happened to be following Kyle Rittenhouse. And he was standing behind Joseph Rosenbaum when he was shot and killed. As a matter of fact, because of where he was standing, prosecutors have brought another reckless endangerment charge against Kyle Rittenhouse for shooting in his direction. So he's not only a witness, he's an alleged victim, according to prosecutors. Let's take a listen to the eyewitness testimony of Richie McGinnis.
I could see a lot of yelling. I could hear a lot of yelling, and I could see there was a crowd of people in the street, and one individual, Mr. Rosenbaum, advancing towards Mr. Rittenhouse, as well as a couple of other individuals who were moving very quickly in the area. But it was hard for me to see because I was a little bit back, and it was dark.
What happened then?
Mr. Rosenbaum advanced towards Mr. Rittenhouse. Mr. Rittenhouse gave I think he maybe saw him coming and gave kind of I said on the night of to police that it was like a juke, but it was more like just a pivot and a run.
Please continue. What happened after that, as far as you recall?
And then he pivoted and he ran towards this parking lot right here. So he was right on the side of the street, and he ran towards this lot, and Mr. Rosenbaum ran after him, and I was behind both of them.
And you continued to be behind Mr. Rosenbaum at the time that the defendant shot and killed him, correct?
I did alter my trajectory a little bit when I saw Mr. Rittenhouse turn around and saw Mr. Rosenbaum lunging for the front portion of the rifle.
Okay. Let me stop you there for a second. First of all, we know now that individual who was shot and killed by the defendant was Joseph Rosenbaum. Mm-hmm. At the moment this was all going on that night, did you have any idea who that person was?
No clue.
Had you ever heard the name Joseph Rosenbaum before?
I'd never even seen that individual.
Up until these events, you had not seen that individual at any time?
No, I had not.
You said your eyes were focused on the barrel of the weapon.
Yes.
Where was the barrel of the weapon pointed?
At this moment, when he stopped, it was aimed about 45 degrees at the ground.
Did the aim of the barrel of the weapon change?
It did. And when Mr. Rosenbaum lunged, Mr. Rittenhouse kind of dodged around. And then that's when it was leveled at Mr. Rosenbaum and fired.
What was the position of Mr. Rosenbaum's body when the defendant fired at him?
well, there were 4 shots, but it was like in one continuous motion. It was like a lunge towards the front portion, a dodge around, and when he missed, his momentum continued forward.
I'm going to stop you for 1 second.
Yeah.
When he missed, who's he?
Mr. Rosenbaum, I'm sorry.
Please
Yes.
continue.
When Mr. Rosenbaum did not make contact with Mr. Rittenhouse, or it wasn't clear to me whether or not they made contact, but what was clear to me was that the trajectory of the rifle wasn't really altered by Mr. Rosenbaum's lunge. So if they did make contact, then it was just a glance. It wasn't enough to alter the trajectory of the rifle, but and again, this is just because that was the only thing that I was looking at that point, and it's not clear to me whether he basically fell forward, but that was as.
I'm going to stop you for a second because you said he again. Can you?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Rosenbaum.
Okay. He fell forward.
Yes, like it was as if, if you were to lunge at somebody, if anybody were to lunge, they'd probably stop themselves, from falling face down on the ground, but the shots were fired in the exact instance that his momentum was going forward, and that continued until Mr. Rosenbaum landed on the ground.
When Mr. Rosenbaum landed on the ground after being shot by the defendant, what was Mr. Rosenbaum's body position?
He was lying face down.
Is it fair to say, if I'm understanding your testimony correctly, that when the defendant shot Mr. Rosenbaum was already falling forward?
His momentum, I wouldn't say falling, I would say his momentum was definitely going forward. It's not clear, to me whether he would have, fallen if, the shots hadn't been fired, but certainly his momentum was in the forward direction, and also his hands were out in front of his feet, such that, his center of gravity was beyond where his feet were.
I cannot tell you how different that description is than the description that was given to this jury first thing from the prosecutor during his opening statement. I mean, the first words out of his mouth were that Kyle Rittenhouse was pursuing and chasing Joseph Rosenbaum, shot him in the back and killed him. And the image you have in your mind, you're literally hunting. You're running after someone. There they are. You shoot them in the back and they die. And now you've got the eyewitness, a witness for the prosecution, telling the jury that Rosenbaum was advancing and following and going after Rittenhouse, and he lunged at him when he was shot. Completely different image, completely different picture. And from the videos that we've seen and the thermal imaging that we've seen, seems to me that the eyewitness account much more consistent with the video than what the prosecutor told the jury. I still don't understand why he did that. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter. She knows a lot more than all of us tonight. She's in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I want to start with this witness, McGinnis, Richie McGinnis. He also did a demonstration today.
He did, and it was a powerful moment inside the courtroom. Anytime a witness will get up and leave the witness box, the jury follows along. Even if the jury, maybe it's afternoon, it's after lunch, they're not really paying attention. When a witness moves to point at something or demonstrate something, everyone is watching this witness. So on cross-examination of Richie McGinnis, the defense attorney, Mark Richards, had him demonstrate that lunge or the movement of momentum towards Kyle Rittenhouse's gun at that moment. And again, like you said, the really only eyewitness to that shooting, so up close and personal. So there he is on the screen, and he's actually demonstrating what he remembers and observed Joseph Rosenbaum doing, as he said, lunging towards Kyle Rittenhouse's gun. And there was even one point where he was even asked by Mark Richards, were you able to see Joseph Rosenbaum turn towards you where he would have been shot in the back? And the witness says no. So in his recollection, he doesn't even remember Joseph Rosenbaum turning in a position that he would have been able to be shot in the back. Of course, we know we'll have medical examiner testimony that will corroborate all of that. But this was key. I mean, anytime a witness does this, the jury, all eyes on the witness, and they were jotting a lot of notes when he was describing these little details of his story, very much in tune with Richard McGinnis. He seemed to really connect with the jury today, Vinny.
Let me ask you this. He's a prosecution witness. He's an eyewitness. And I couldn't help from where I was watching this, I felt the tension. Like there was this tension between the prosecutor and his eyewitness in the case. That it was almost like at times the prosecutor was attacking the credibility of Richie McGinnis. What did you take away from that inside the courtroom? Was that, am I reading that right?
You are reading that right. At times it felt almost as if he was impeaching his witness. And again, like you said, the basis for one of the criminal counts against Kyle Rittenhouse here. So the prosecution needed to pull out some information to help prove that count. But yes, there was one point originally, Richard McGinnis, when this happened, he gave several interviews to the media, and so the prosecution was trying to hold his feet to the fire for some of his original comments about whether or not Rosenbaum lunged. Apparently in a media interview after this happened, the witness said, McGinnis said that he was falling. Rosenbaum was falling at the time he was shot. So that was back and forth, and McGinnis would not come around to say, yes, he, like you played a little bit earlier, it was the movement of his momentum towards Kyle Rittenhouse. He wasn't falling. He wouldn't come around and say that again on the witness stand today.
Unbelievable. And then it was interesting when they asked him where he worked. The prosecutor made a point of saying that he worked for the Daily Caller, and then he asked him, who started the Daily Caller? And he wanted to make sure the jury heard that Tucker Carlson was the founder of the Daily Caller. And to me, that was a strange moment, too.
And it was right at the top of his testimony. That was what the prosecutor wanted out there, wanted the jury to know. And McGinnis' response was almost like, yeah, who cares? What does that have to do with anything? Was kind of the way it came across inside the courtroom. But that was interesting, too. Again, this is the prosecution's witness, and it's almost as if he wants the jury to know that there may be some other sort of hidden agenda, maybe to what he has to say, given his affiliation or the type of network or the Daily Caller that he works for, Vinny.
Fascinating. All right, Shanley, stand by. Let me bring in our think tank, get some reaction. Joining us tonight in the Bronx, New York, criminal defense attorney Renee Hill. In Houston, Texas, criminal defense attorney Carmen Rowe. And in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney, law professor at Emory University, and Georgia Innocence Project board member Molly Palmer. Great to see everyone tonight. Renee, I'll begin with you. Does this sound like self-defense? That's the defense here, okay? That's going to be the legal issue this jury has to figure out. If someone is advancing toward you, someone is following you, someone is lunging at your gun, does that sound like self-defense? Does that get you there?
I don't know if it completely gets you there right now, but it does certainly sound like it's leading towards helping them with this self-defense claim, because you still have to get to the actual use of force that's going to be used here. But if he's lunging and trying to grab the gun, and Rittenhouse feels that if he gets the gun taken away from him, then his life is in jeopardy, then you're verging on the ground of self-defense here.
Carmen Rowe, your thoughts about self-defense and this relationship between prosecutor and eyewitness?
Vinny, you're always asking about my defense bar. I'm going to ask you about the prosecution in this case. This could have been a defense witness as I listened to the testimony. I mean, everything about it was problematic, including the fact that, as Channing pointed out, he's done prior interviews and he never said what the prosecutor's trying to get him to say about shooting anybody in the back. I mean, he made very clear that Rittenhouse was chased down and that he lunged for his gun and that he shot. But this angle of it was pointed down at a 45-degree angle, and only after he seemed to grab for the gun, which he made clear, did Rittenhouse turn around and then point the gun at him. I mean, the self-defense case is getting stronger and stronger with, wait for it, prosecution witnesses. Unbelievable.
Molly, is this a gift from the prosecutors?
You know, it's a gift. And I think that right now, the prosecution is wondering why they even added this charge of reckless endangerment. That's what I think they were trying to do here, is just prove that count, right? And so he can testify as to whether he was put in danger, which would constitute reckless endangerment committed by Kyle Rittenhouse. But instead, what he's doing is essentially offering, as you call it, a gift to the defense. And don't forget, he's a reporter. He's a reporter. And so I think there's some inherent credibility in his descriptions of the scene to begin with. I think he already comes with a bit more of, a reputation for seeing and feeling things and being able to recount them, even though he is now inconsistent with his previous version of how he recounted the events. So it's fascinating.
Did you say inconsistent or consistent?
He is now inconsistent with what he said on Tucker Carlson.
Okay, whether he's lunging or falling.
Yes, with what he said in the media previously.
So
he described
was he
falling?
So he tripped as he was being shot? Is that what the jury would take away from it?
I think the jury is feeling very different about a lunge versus somebody who's helplessly falling to their feet as a result of somebody coming forward and attacking them. And that's what this case is all about, is who's the aggressor. And he just described Rosenbaum as the aggressor. Right.
Absolutely. Okay. They're with us the whole hour, folks, our think tank. When we come back, we're going to talk more about what happened in this courtroom. There was another witness who took the stand who was a vet, an Army vet, I think he was with the Army, who was walking around with Kyle Rittenhouse that night and witnessed a lot of things. We're going to talk about his testimony when we come back.